Why most people fail. Comfort is the silent killer. Most people don't fail loudly. They don't collapse in dramatic fashion. They don't lose everything overnight. They fade. They fade slowly, quietly, comfortably. They fail in silence, one easy choice at a time. And that's the most dangerous kind of failure there is. Because comfort doesn't feel like a threat. It feels like relief. It feels earned. It feels reasonable. Comfort whispers, "You've done enough." It says, "You deserve this." It convinces you that staying where you are is safer than becoming who you could be. And while you're resting inside that comfort, something inside you is dying. Not your body. Not your intelligence. Your edge. The hunger that once pushed you forward dulls. The urgency that once burned in your chest softens. The vision that once kept you awake at night slowly fades into nostalgia. And you tell yourself you're being realistic now. Mature. Balanced. But the truth is harsher than that. You didn't become realistic. You became comfortable. And comfort is the silent killer of potential. Most people never notice it happening. That's why it's so lethal. Comfort doesn't announce itself like failure does. It doesn't bring pain at first. It removes pain. It removes pressure. It removes urgency. And in doing so, it removes growth. Growth requires friction. Growth requires resistance. Growth requires discomfort. Remove those, and you don't get peace, you get decay. Look at nature. Anything that stops growing starts dying. Muscles weaken without resistance. Minds dull without challenge. Spirits shrink without purpose. Yet human beings chase comfort as if it's the goal, not realizing it's the graveyard. This is why most people fail, not because they aren't capable, but because they stop demanding more from themselves. They stop pushing the edge. They stop choosing the hard path when the easy one is available. They trade their future for immediate relief and call it self-care. But real care for yourself is not indulgence. It's discipline. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. And most people never make that trade. They choose now. Over and over again. And now slowly steals their tomorrow. The alarm goes off. Comfort says, sleep a little longer. The workout gets skipped. Comfort says, you can do it tomorrow. The hard conversation gets avoided. Comfort says, it's not the right time. The dream gets postponed. Comfort says, be patient. And none of those choices seem dangerous in the moment. That's the trap. Comfort kills by accumulation. By repetition. By making the easy choice feel justified every single time. Until one day, years later, you look at your life and wonder how you ended up here. Not broken. Not destroyed. Just underwhelmed. Living a life far smaller than what you once imagined. That's the real tragedy. Not failure, but unused potential. History doesn't remember the comfortable. It remembers the committed. The restless. The ones who refused to settle into ease while something inside them demanded growth. Edison didn't stop experimenting when it got inconvenient. Carnegie didn't build empires by choosing what was easy. Ford didn't change the world by prioritizing comfort. Lincoln didn't preserve a nation by playing it safe. None of them chose comfort when it conflicted with purpose. And purpose is what comfort erodes first. When life gets easy, purpose gets optional. When purpose becomes optional, discipline weakens. When discipline weakens, standards fall. And when standards fall, identity follows. You stop seeing yourself as a builder. You stop seeing yourself as a fighter. You stop seeing yourself as someone capable of more. You become someone who maintains instead of grows. Who protects instead of pursues. Who explains instead of executes. Comfort turns ambition into nostalgia. You remember who you used to be. You talk about what you almost did. You reminisce about the fire you once had. And deep down, you know exactly when it happened. The moment you chose ease over effort. The moment you chose familiarity over growth. The moment you told yourself, this is good enough. Good enough is the language of failure disguised as satisfaction. Because the truth is this, you don't lose motivation by accident. You lose it by choice. Every time you choose comfort, you weaken the muscle of discipline. Every time you avoid discomfort, you teach yourself that relief is more important than results. And the mind learns quickly. It learns to crave ease. It learns to resist effort. It learns to rationalize stagnation. Before long, discomfort feels threatening, even though it's the very thing that once made you strong. This is why most people never break through. They don't lack knowledge. They don't lack resources. They lack tolerance for discomfort. They want growth without pressure. Success without sacrifice. Change without pain. But that version of reality does not exist. Everything you want is on the other side of something you don't want to do. That is the price. That is the truth. And that is where most people turn back. Not because they can't go on, but because comfort offers them a way out. And the moment you accept that way out, the slow collapse begins. Quietly. Comfortably. One easy choice at a time. And once the slow collapse begins, it rarely feels like falling. It feels like settling. Like easing into a chair you've sat in too many times before. Familiar. Predictable. Safe. And safety, when mistaken for success, becomes a ceiling you never question again. This is how comfort tightens its grip, not through force, but through permission. Permission to skip. Permission to delay. Permission to lower the bar just enough to breathe easier. And each time you grant that permission, you reinforce a dangerous belief: I don't need to push myself anymore. That belief hardens into identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who stretches. You stop seeing yourself as someone who endures. You stop seeing yourself as someone who fights for more. You become someone who preserves what is, instead of creating what could be. And the most painful part? Life doesn't immediately punish this choice. It rewards it, at first. You feel less stress. Less pressure. Less resistance. You feel calmer. More balanced. More reasonable. But beneath that calm, something essential is eroding. Your resilience. Resilience is built only one way, by doing hard things on purpose. By choosing effort when comfort is available. By stepping into resistance instead of stepping away from it. Take that away, and the first real challenge you face later will feel overwhelming. That's why people who live comfortably crumble under pressure. They haven't trained for it. Pressure is not the enemy. Pressure is preparation. But comfort removes pressure, and in doing so, removes strength. Look at the body. Without resistance, muscle atrophies. Without challenge, endurance disappears. The same is true for the mind and the spirit. When you stop asking more of yourself, life eventually will, and you won't be ready. That's when anxiety spikes. That's when confidence collapses. That's when people say, I don't know what happened. What happened is simple. You stopped training. You trained your body for ease. You trained your mind for avoidance. You trained your spirit for safety. And then life introduced resistance, and it felt unbearable. This is the price of prolonged comfort. Comfort does not protect you from pain. It delays it, and amplifies it later. Short-term comfort creates long-term fragility. That's the truth most people don't want to accept. They think avoiding discomfort is self-preservation. In reality, it's self-sabotage. The discomfort you avoid today returns tomorrow with interest. Because life is not designed to be easy. It is designed to be meaningful. And meaning requires effort. Meaning requires responsibility. Meaning requires you to carry weight. A life without weight feels empty. A life with chosen weight feels powerful. Strong people choose their struggle. Weak people wait for life to choose it for them. And life will choose. It always does. That's why discipline is not a restriction. It's preparation. It's how you stay ahead of chaos. It's how you build capacity before it's demanded of you. Discipline is choosing pain with purpose instead of pain without direction. When you wake up early to train, you're not punishing yourself, you're fortifying yourself. When you do the work you don't feel like doing, you're not depriving yourself, you're investing. When you say no to ease in favor of effort, you're not missing out, you're becoming someone harder to break. And becoming harder to break is the real goal. Because the world is unpredictable. Markets shift. Relationships strain. Plans collapse. And when those moments come, comfort offers no protection. Only strength does. Strength built through discomfort. This is where most people misunderstand happiness. They think happiness comes from ease. From relaxation. From freedom from struggle. But lasting fulfillment comes from progress. From growth. From knowing you're moving toward something that matters. Progress demands discomfort. That's why people who chase comfort are often restless and dissatisfied. They have everything they thought they wanted, and feel nothing. No hunger. No edge. No sense of becoming. Their soul is starving while their body is comfortable. And they don't know why. The reason is simple: comfort numbs purpose. Purpose needs tension. Purpose needs challenge. Purpose needs resistance to push against. Remove that, and life loses its depth. Its color. Its meaning. That's when people distract themselves. With noise. With entertainment. With consumption. With anything that fills the space where purpose used to live. But distraction doesn't fulfill. It only delays the reckoning. And the reckoning always comes. It comes when you realize time has passed, and you didn't rise with it. It comes when you see others living boldly while you stayed safe. It comes when the question gets louder every year: is this really all I'm capable of? That question hurts more than any discomfort ever could. Because deep down, you know the answer. You know you chose comfort when growth was available. You know you avoided the edge when it called you forward. You know you silenced the voice that wanted more. And here is the turning point, the moment that separates those who wake up from those who stay asleep. You can either justify comfort, or you can challenge it. You can continue protecting yourself from discomfort, or you can start training yourself for greatness. Comfort will always be there, waiting. But potential has an expiration date. And every day you delay choosing discomfort with purpose, you pay for it with a smaller life. The question is not whether comfort feels good. The question is what it's costing you.